Welcome to the driver's seat. In many ways, the transformation of BMW from a car company to a crossover company started 20 years ago in Spartanburg, South Carolina. That's when the first X5 rolled off the assembly line. And last year, for the very first time, the 3 Series was not their best-selling vehicle. It was the X3. So now, to round out the 7 model crossover offering from BMW, we have the all-new X7 available as a 6 or 7 passenger vehicle, and at launch we're going to have the X40i and X50i. Both X7 models will be available only in all-wheel drive and have the same towing capacity, 7,500 pounds, and that's very respectable. Now, to get that 7,500, you need to have the factory towing package from BMW. Let's talk a little bit about the engine differences. They also are both mated to the amazing 8-speed ZF transmission, which is one of my favorites in the industry. Horsepower-wise, 335 and 456 on the V8. 0 to 60 times, 5.2 versus 5.8 seconds, but we actually prefer the 6. It's a little bit lighter, a little livelier, and you really don't notice that lack of horsepower when you're passing or 0 to 60 acceleration. From a design standpoint, overall, the X7 follows the design language of BMW for their crossovers. But one of the things that has really been, I don't want to say controversial, but many journalists have pointed out, is this new massive grille. We don't know if this is going to be the new face of BMW, but it is the largest double kidney grille ever. And we're told part of that is functional to allow for more air intake. It's kind of grown on me. I think it gives it more of a luxury appeal, but obviously that's going to be something that's up to you. Another thing I want to talk about is the air suspension, which is standard on all the X7s, and it's really been wonderful. This suspension is optional on the X5 models, but it's standard on the X7 and has really been great to drive on these roads. For such a big vehicle, it's amazing how dynamic the driving is. Hey, up here. Guess what? A panoramic sunroof. Now, I know you've seen it. We've seen it on many SUVs, but what's nice about the X7 is that it's standard on all models. What's also nice is that they've added this extra panel back here for the 3rd row. So you have a shade that can slide back and forth to allow some light back here. So if you are stuck in the 3rd row, you don't have to feel like you're claustrophobic or in a cave. For most crossover and SUV owners, the rear cargo area and tailgate are very critical, and BMW has thought of everything. For starters, it's a split liftgate, which I am a big fan of. I think every SUV should have it, especially once you get into this price point. So you have 3 ways to get into the back. There's obviously a button here that you can open as long as you have the key fob or the doors are unlocked. But there's also a button on the door, and you have your key fob. Now, what's nice is that if you actually hold it down, if you just push it once, only the top will open. But if you actually hold it down, both will open. I really like that. So let's talk about what's going on here. Again, first. All the seats can be moved electronically, and that's what these controls are for. So this is your 2nd row. This is your 3rd row. If you want maximum seating, it's a 1-button push right here. If you want maximum cargo, it's a 1-button push here. So 1 button will do everything. But what's nice is you can move the seats individually, one at a time, together, or again, if you go with this max button. So a lot going on here. Now, there are 2 seating configurations, what I call the captain's chairs. That's for 6. You have 2 in the 3rd row and 2 individual seats in the 2nd row. That's the most comfortable if you plan to have adults in the 2nd row. But there's also a bench seat option, a 60-40 split. And what's nice about that one, you can not only get 7 people, you can actually fold those seats completely flat, so you really get maximum cargo area. And if that's not enough cargo area for you, look down here. You got all this additional cargo. They even put the security shade nicely concealed over here. You can remove it and put it over there to cover the 3rd row if you need to. So much going on here. And if you are a shorter person and you're trying to get things in and out, you can just push this button and it will actually lower it by about 3 inches. And that just makes it easier to get things going. 1 push of a button, the split liftgate is closed. I love it. This is a very thoughtful tailgate and cargo area, and if you are going to use this vehicle properly, you are really going to appreciate what BMW's done for you. the 6-cylinder engine, you might get a slight delay if you're cruising like we are right now, 50, and you just punch it. A little tiny delay. However, if you have it in sport mode, you can really preload it, and of course you've got your paddle shifters, so no problem. With the V8, it was much less of an issue with all that torque, all that power. Very powerful engine, but unless you really need that extra 0.6 seconds of acceleration to 60 miles an hour, I don't know if the V8 is necessary. It's a little heavier. Obviously, you're going to suffer a little bit in fuel economy, but when you're spending this kind of money, do you really care? So taking a look at the interior of the X7, it's very similar to the X5, same design language, but they've taken it a step further. For one thing, you can get a full leather dashboard. It's very high-end. Another feature is this Bowers & Wilkins 3-dimensional audio. It's nothing short of brilliant. You get 5 speakers in the headrest, 20 speakers overall. It's really phenomenal. If you are an audiophile, I highly recommend it. The gauges are brilliant. Eventually we're going to get to a point where we have probably a 4-foot screen in here, and that's the whole car. But for now, we have 2 very large, very high definition displays that give you all the information you want. This is a pretty lengthy drive. Over the 2 days, over 800 miles. So we have massaging seats, which are nothing short of brilliant. Great visibility, great seat comfort. Everything about this car is it's really hard to complain. I think BMW has really nailed it, and they're going to give the competitors a run for their money. I like the paddle shifters, nice and concealed. Overall, I think BMW has done a tremendous job in making the X7 feel smaller and lighter than it is, and that's not easy to do. You drive some of these 3-row big crossovers and they really feel heavy, and they fight you, not the X7. This is a true driver's car, and I urge you to really take it for a long drive if you're considering it. Compared to the competition, the Mercedes, for example, it feels much lighter, more agile. The Range Rover is impressive, but it's also very expensive. As mentioned, starting price around $73,000 for the 40i. If you load out a 50i, you can definitely top $100,000. Even though the X7 is a very capable off-roader, it's not going to go through the Rio Grande River. So President Trump, don't send the troops over here. We're not going to go get some migrants from across the border. But as you can see, the X7 is a very impressive vehicle. I like what BMW has done. Really positioned it nicely to compete with the Range Rover and Mercedes-Benz GLS, just to name a few. I'm Ron Doran. Thanks for watching. See you next time on The Driver's Seat.